Hey, goofballs. You're writing an essay. Just get over it. It's happening. You're writing an essay about the American Revolution, and I'm going to walk you through how this essay is supposed to be done. So do it right. Now, declaring independence was revolutionary for the Second Continental Congress. That's who we're going to be dressing up as, and that's who we're going to be that day we, have that Second Continental Congress meeting. Now, at the Second Continental Congress, they declared independence from Great Britain. And so, what we're going to be looking at is the events that led to the Declaration of Independence. Now, as we've said earlier, for forever, a revolution is a significant or momentous change or an overthrow of government. Well, the American Revolution is both definitions. Many historians agree that the American Revolution is both from 1763 to 1776. Historians think that the events from 1763 to 1776, I'm a historian too, they were a series of significant events. They were changes in the relationship between the 13 colonies in Great Britain, which led to an overthrow of government. This looks like an incredible sentence you could probably put in your paper. I would do that. Your objective is to explain how the events from 1754 to 1776 led to the overthrow of the British government. Now, I know up here it says 1763, but if you think about it, 1754 to 1763 is the French and Indian War. So you're doing that. I can already tell you guys are confused, so you know what? There. I just know you guys are going to be confused because you're ding-dongs. All right. So you're explaining in your essay how the events from 1754 to 1776 led to the overthrow of the British government. You're going to include all of the terms below. They have to be in your essay. If they're not, minus 3 points for each thing forgotten. Mr. Barry, there's a lot of stuff. Yeah, I'm aware. You must have the Stamp Act, the Boston Tea Party. Hold on, let's have some fun here for a second. Boston Tea Party. The Boston Tea Party, the Boston Massacre, the Sons of Liberty, the intolerable / coercive acts, the French and Indian War, the Second Continental Congress, the Declaration of Independence, smuggling, which is one of my favorite things to do, effigy or effigies, depending on if you use it or plural or not, boycotting, the Townshend Acts, and the battles of Lexington and Concord. These are the things that must go in your essay. This is a rocket down paper. I don't know if you've ever been told this, but if you look at a rocket, I'm going to draw it on the board, but a rocket down basically means you start broad and then you get to the brief. So that means you're starting a paragraph off very broad with an open statement, and then you eventually get to the details in the paragraph. The paper will be no more than 3 pages, typed double-spaced, 1-inch margins, 12 font Times New Roman, MLA format. If you give me a paper that's longer than 3 pages, I will take the extra pages and I will use them as a napkin when I eat the barbecueiest wings I can possibly eat, and then I will staple those back to your paper. I will not read anything longer than 3 pages, typed double-spaced, 1-inch margins, 12 font Times New Roman, MLA format. Half the paper is the content. The other half is the mechanics. So grammar, tense, and spelling and readability, it's kind of a big deal. The essay will be graded in 5-point increments, as you always know how I grade. So 100, 95, 90, 85, all the way down to 25. Now, most of you might remember this from 7th grade. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, here we go. Remember that the following needs to happen when writing papers for history. You write in the third person. You don't say I or me or ours or us or we. You don't say like, I think. You don't think. All right? You state it like it's a fact. You prove your opinion. So you would say, the revolution was a significant time in American history. You don't say, I think the American Revolution was in a significant time in American history. It's third person. You've never read a textbook and seen I. You don't do it. Now, your introduction. You must have the definition of a revolution to set the tone of your paper. I'm even going to give you the first sentence you need to write in the essay. And then you get to your thesis statement. These are examples. So there were many significant events that happened in the 13 colonies from 1763 to 1776. I'm already confusing you guys. I'll do that again. That eventually led to the Second Continental Congress writing the Declaration of Independence. I'm stating there were many events that happened during this time period, and it led to the Declaration of Independence. From 1754 to 1776, the colonists' actions in America proved to be revolutionary when they finally wrote the Declaration of Independence, severing ties with Great Britain. That means breaking away from Great Britain. The third one, the Declaration of Independence, was the final act of many that happened in the colonies from 1763 to 1776. All right, I get it. Which led to the overthrow of the British government. These are great thesis ideas. Come up with your own based off of this. Basically, in a history essay, the second to last or last sentence in your introduction, which is about 4 to 6 sentences, will be your thesis statement. Your body paragraphs. Okay, there's no limit to the body paragraphs so long as it's no longer than 3-page type, double space, Times New Roman, 1-inch margins, MLA format. Write chronologically and thematically. Don't go from the French and Indian War to the Declaration of Independence and back to the Stamp Act. That's not even close to being chronologically in order. Your body paragraphs should be no less than 6 sentences and no more than 10. History and language arts are diff. Just understand that, okay? This bothers the mother-licking God out of me, all right? Do not just go fact after fact after fact after fact. Explain the hows these facts are important, the whys these facts are important. So, an example of how you should do it. In 1765, Britain passed the Stamp Act. All right, that's the fact, which taxed all imported printed materials in the colonies. That's a fact. Because of this act, the colonies were outraged and responded in different ways. So that is telling me how and why the sentences before are important. Because of the act, which is telling me you're referencing the part in the sentence before, the colonists were outraged. You're telling me how the colonists felt. And they responded in many ways. You're telling me what they're doing. Another sentence example. Things escalated in 1770 when 5 colonists were killed in what was called the Boston Massacre. So that's the fact. The Boston Massacre was the first violent act of the Revolution. You're telling me why that was important. You need to say this, for crying out loud. You see where I'm going? There. Now, these are suggested groupings in chronological order. Like, I would do this, okay? If I suggest something, I would do it. So, the way you write the essay, I would go French and Indian War, and that led to debt, which then led to some of these acts that were passed. Mr. Barry, you don't have the Sugar Act above. I know. You don't have to include content that's not supposed to be mentioned, like this stuff. You don't have to add stuff to it, but if you want, you can. So you can include the Sugar Act if you want. Quartering Act, Stamp Act, repeal of the Stamp Act. That's a great chronological order there. The Townshend Acts, which then led to the Boston Massacre, then they were repealed, and then the Sons of Liberty. I can actually get rid of writs of assistance there. The Tea Act, Tea Party, Coercive Acts, First Continental Congress, battles of Lexington and Concord, which led to the Second Continental Congress, and then conclude the paper with the Declaration of Independence. Again, you have to include the word effigies, boycotting. I love tarring and feathering, so this might be something you want to include. Not required, but I love tarring and feathering. And then you conclude the paper, 3 to 5 sentences. Restate and finish your paper with the thesis you proved. That's how you're going to write the paper. All right. Get ready for the one thing I don't do. Yeah. Always write in the past tense. This is law. The Boston Massacre isn't still happening. It's over. Again, always write in the third person. You weren't there. You spell numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. And then you write them out, like 121, 33. So when you say the Boston Massacre killed 5 civilians, you spell the number 5. Yeah, paragraphs already kind of went over that. You refer to people by their last name. You don't know them. You can't call Theodore Roosevelt Teddy. You can't call George Washington George. You don't know them. You say their first and last name first, and then you can refer to them by their last name in the paper. One of you in the grade will do this, and it will bother me to death. Don't add the TH at the end of March 5th. That's unnecessary. Because I know when I read the date like this, it reads March 5th. If you put the TH in there, it says March 5th. That's all. All right, here's some language arts stuff for you. Be sure that you have introduced a noun before using a subject pronoun in a sentence. For example, it. It is a subject pronoun. You have to tell me what it is before you use the word it. So, tarring and feathering was bad. It was because, or it led to. You can't just say it before you tell me what it is. It's an antecedent thing too, which I guarantee you none of you know what that means. You want to drive me bonkers? Use a contraction. I dare you. Do not use contractions. Not, didn't, or shouldn't, or wouldn't, or couldn't, or get out of here, dictionary. Say did not, would not, could not, should not, everything not. All right? All right. I will throw your paper and a chair out the window if you do the following. You'll probably be sitting in the chair. Do not write in conclusion or overall. I know it's the conclusion, you goon. I've never read a 500-page book and got to the last paragraph and the author's like, in conclusion, I know it's the conclusion. It's the last part of the book. In conclusion is something you write in 3rd grade. You're in like 8th grade now. So don't say in conclusion or overall or lastly. No, just write it. Okay? God, we hate that. Don't start your papers with a question. Have you ever wondered about the American Revolution? No, I haven't. I know everything about it. Okay? You start your paper with a broad general sentence like, the American Revolution was a significant event in American history. Ooh, broad. You have my attention. Okay? Final thing. What's a thesis statement? Ask yourself, what am I writing about? There you develop your thesis. The thesis is the idea around which you construct the rest of your paper. In a history paper, the thesis generally explains why or something happened. And then every other word of your paper supports that thesis. I've given you how to write the American Revolution paper in this. Okay? Introduction, the definition of a revolution must be in the introduction. I'm going to explain that. And then include your thesis. Remember, these are the examples above. Your body paragraphs, again, write chronologically and thematically. And then again, do not just go fact after fact after fact. And then restate your thesis in the conclusion. And for those of you that have been paying attention the past 2 weeks, all right, this is the chronological order of the American Revolution. So if you can't figure that out, I can't fix you. That's how you write the American Revolution paper. Again, no longer than 3 pages type, double space, 12 font times New Roman, MLA, 1-inch margins. I hope you paid attention to this video, okay? And if you did watch this video, at the end of your paper, on the bottom right corner, write, I watched the video, and I'll give you an A for the day. Don't tell anyone else. Have them figure it out on their own. Be good.